Hi there, my name is Melissa Branham and I am the mom of the WanderStruck crew. And here on our channel, we look to inspire, encourage, and equip you with all that you need to be the best homeschooler that you can be. And I have been homeschooling my kiddos for 11 years, and I want to share tips and tricks and ideas and everything that I've learned along the way with you to make your journey a little bit easier. And today I'm going to be sharing with you the curriculum that we're going to be using in the upcoming school year. If you haven't seen our video already for what we used last year, you can check that out right here. And you can see what we used last year and what a day in our life looked like also if you click right here. And that way you can get an idea of kind of what it looks like around our household. Now, when I was deciding what to do and what to use this year in our upcoming curriculum, I did use the same the same 5 steps that I use in the 5 steps to choosing a curriculum video. I use those same exact steps every year when I decide on what curriculum to use. And this year was a little bit tricky because this year we are taking a 2-month sailing trip later on in the year. We're going to end the year sailing, and I had to take that into consideration when choosing our curriculum because I can't take a massive amount of curriculum with us. Logistically, it just doesn't work. So this isn't our first sailing trip. You can check out our Facebook and Instagram page if you want to see some of the other sailing trips that we've done, but this definitely will be our longest. But also because my kids are older, I have a 10, almost 11. I have a 12-year-old, a 14-year-old, and a 16-year-old. So in grade speak, that is, I will have a junior, a freshman, a 7th grader, and a 5th grader. And I let them be a part of the decision making, and I bounce ideas off of them, and I show them what I found and what I think is really neat and what they might be interested in. But ultimately, when it comes down to it, if they're not excited to use it, then they have that opportunity to say that, because if they're not excited to use it, they're not going to be as motivated to use it either. That's a nice thing about when your kids do get older. But at the same time, when your kids do get older, then they also have an opinion, and you might be super excited about something and they're like, yeah, no, not having it. So if you want to know where I got any of the curriculum that I'm going to talk about, I will put links directly below so that you can easily access everything. And some of those links, FYI, are affiliate links. I make a little bit of a commission when you use them, and I appreciate that you do use them, but I just want to give you a heads up ahead of time. But it is at no cost to you, so you wouldn't even know that it's there. But I appreciate you using them. First thing we opted to do is science, and we're going to do science all together just like we did this past school year. So you can see in this video up here, which is a day in our life, it shows you pretty much what a day in our homeschool day looks like. But this year we're only going to do science together. We're not going to do science and history like we did previously. So for science, I opted to go with something that was really, I guess you could say, basic. Like I just needed something that would do a great job educating my kids in a area of science, but also it would not be too much to take with us. And as you've seen in previous videos, I'm a big fan of the Good and the Beautiful science kits, and Apologia science kits have always been very tempting to me, but that wouldn't work this year because they just require too many supplies, just too much stuff. And I didn't want to have to deal and juggle with little things or doing little experiments when I don't know if that's really what we're going to have available for us. But something that requires a piece of paper and a pencil, I know I can do. And so thank you, Entering Classical Conversations. This is their Challenge A guide, and my oldest daughter, did Challenge A, and so we still have the guide from it. And I thought back to the anatomy section that she did when she completed the Challenge A course and thought that would be really basic because it only requires basically a pencil and a piece of paper. And it would be, I felt, a really great introduction to anatomy. So that's what we opted to do. And basically all my kiddos are going to do is label the different bodily parts within a bodily system. So each week we'll focus on a different system in the body, and they will spend time each day labeling the parts to that system. So here's an example. And then if we are home, which we will be for about half the semester, then we'll read on the different parts and read about those different systems so we can dive deeper and learn about them. But when we're gone, all I need is just pieces of paper and a pencil, and they can do it on their own and continue working on it. And that diving deeper, even though I feel like, oh, I really want them to do each system, and I want them at the same time to get that information of how it works and how those systems go together and all the amazing things about the respiratory system or about the heart. As much as the A type in me wants that to all come together at once, the part of me that has done the classical education knows that by just giving them that basic grammar, that basic information, it essentially gives them like pegs in their brain to hang information on later on. So they're going to create a file in their brain, and that file will say respiratory system, and then they'll know all the grammar for the respiratory system, all those terms and parts and pieces for the respiratory system. They'll know where they are, and they'll know what the name of them are, because that's what we're going to really focus on. And I know that as they read further on in first semester and later on in second semester, I know that they will have a place to put that information because they'll already have that file there that they've created in their brain, and they'll have a place to file it and they'll have a place to put it. And so I know that it's okay for them to get that information later. I know that they'll come together because that's the beauty of a classical education, is giving them the fundamental filing system, and that way they have a place to put all the additional information that they gain regarding that topic of whatever it is. So this one is anatomy. And so we're going to do anatomy first semester. Second semester is up in the air. We may continue anatomy or we may move on to something else. I'm not 100% sure. But all my kids are going to do science, and that's what they're going to do for their science curriculum. All right, so for my high schooler, if you don't want to watch what my high schooler and my freshman you don't want to see what my junior and my freshman and my seventh grader are going to do, if you just want to skip to one kid or another, I'm going to timestamp them at the bottom, and you can just skip right to what you want to see and the child that applies to you. But moving right on, I'm going to start off with my high schooler, who will be a junior this year. So you already know what she's doing for science. For math, she's going to be using master books, and she's going to be doing the geometry this year. And she used master books last year and really liked it. And so she's very excited to continue on with it, which I'm very excited for because she has been a very reluctant math student. If you watch my mistakes video, I made the mistake of pushing her into a curriculum and pushing her through a curriculum that she really didn't like, and which was Saxon math, and it really killed her love of mathematics. And that was something I regret, and I should have stuck with Life of Fred when she was on it because she loved it, and I didn't feel like it was enough. And I can tell you, 11 years later, now that I have my two younger ones on Life of Fred and they love it, I am seeing the benefits that are being reaped from them loving math, and I wish I would have stuck with it when I did. But I didn't, and that was the choice that I made at that time, and all I can do is make better choices going forward. And so she's very excited to use this, and that's what we're going to use. And you're probably looking at that book going, that's a really big book. And you're sitting here talking about space, and you're sitting here talking about easy pack and easy use curriculum, and I'm here holding like a 2-inch book that weighs, 10 pounds or more. But what we're going to do is we're going to take pictures and print copies of the pages that she's going to work on while we're sailing, and she'll just take those with us. Essentially, every child is just going to have a binder when we get on the boat, and that binder will have the core of their curriculum that they're going to work on. So they don't have to bring all their books and all of their stuff for basically the whole year. They just need to bring the one things that they're going to need while we're gone. So only the parts of the book that they need. So she's going to use geometry for math. For English, she's using The Good and the Beautiful, which again is what she used this past school year, and it's actually what she used the school year before that. And I have to say, I don't feel like The Good and the Beautiful High School gets enough credit. This is such a good curriculum. I mean, it's a great curriculum. The Good and the Beautiful High School is a great curriculum, and I'm gonna do a video just on it. When I do it, it's gonna be right here, and it's just gonna be on the Good and the Beautiful High School curriculum because I don't feel like it gets enough attention. It is a really great curriculum. This will be her 3rd year doing it. She is excited to go now into, she originally was looking into going into marine biology and then shifted into possibly the medical field. And after doing The Good and the Beautiful for several years, she is looking into going into journalism and writing. And I have to tell you, I think she has developed such a beautiful writing style that I fully think that it's something that she could do. Not that I think that I can decide what my kids are good at and not good at, but let's be honest, some kids have talent in things and some kids don't, and she has really developed a beautiful talent for writing, and it's really a gift that she's been given because of this curriculum. So The Good and the Beautiful High School 3 is the one that she's going to be working on this year. For history, we're going to continue using the Dave Raymond's Compass Classroom History, which is the same history we used this past year, except we used American history. And this year, we're going to use the ancient history curriculum. And instead of all of my kids doing it together like we did this past year, only my older 2 girls are going to be using it. My younger 2 are going to do something different, just because I don't feel like it was really engaging enough for them. But what I love about the Compass Classroom curriculum is it not only tells you about historical events and historical things that happened, but they talk about the why. They talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly of history, but they talk about the why. How did those mistakes that we've made as cultures and civilizations, how did those come about? How did we get ourselves into those situations? What things happened that resulted in something happening? And I think it's so important to do that because I think it's very important that we recognize the mistakes that were made so that we are not doomed to make them again. And I really love the discussion that he has and the questions that he asks and the way he explains the line of thinking and the way culture and thought played into certain things happening and decisions making and wars happening. And best of all, my girls really love that it sources original documents. So it's not just take my word for it, it's I'm going to teach you about this, now go to the original document, and your assignment is to read that document so that you know for yourself that that is what that person wrote and that is what this person said and really resonates with you so that you better understand it. It's a great curriculum. It's called Compass Classroom is the company it's through, and it's called Dave Raymond's History. It is a high school curriculum, and so that's why my freshman and my junior are going to continue using it. So then lastly, she's going to be doing a foreign language, and she's done Spanish for several years, well, 2 years, and she's going to continue learning Spanish, which is perfect because our sailing trip is actually going to be along the coast of Mexico, which will give her a perfect opportunity to use those many years of Spanish that she has been studying for. I keep teasing her and telling her it's her ultimate final that she has to be able to converse with people. So I think that's going to be really fun and really exciting. And it has inspired me to pick up my Spanish lessons that I had for oh so many years ago and learn right along with her. So that's been really fun. So that's it for my high schooler, or at least my junior. And for my freshman, she too is going to be using master books. She's going to be using the algebra, and it's the same book that my daughter used last year, and she's going to continue on using it. Now, I'm going to tell you the truth, because I know my children and because I know their learning styles, I don't know if this is going to work for her. I don't know if she's really going to love it, but I already have the book. I didn't have to purchase it, and even if I did have to purchase it, I would have found it used and for a cheaper price. If you don't know how to do that, right here. I'll hook you up with a how to find good use curriculum. But I would not be surprised if she starts using this and decides that it's not what she thought it would be. And if that happens, I'm going to encourage her to move over to the same curriculum that my younger ones are using, which is Life of Fred, and encourage her to give that a try, because I think she would find that to be pretty fun. But if it works out for her, great, and I totally support that. But I'm just saying, you know, that's my prediction. Now with the master books, this is the main student book. You can also get the solutions manual, which I suggest getting. They also have a teacher's guide, and I don't recommend getting that. I've never once used the teacher's guide, even though I own it. I've never once cracked it. So if I had a problem that we couldn't figure out how to solve, we usually got on Khan Academy and looked up how to solve it, or I'd phone a friend who is a math teacher and ask them how to do it. So I wouldn't recommend getting the teacher's manual. That's my... Anyways, but Compass or Master Books has also just released a online course. How do I describe this? It's like online classes that are companions to the books. So you would still get the books, but then they have basically companions that teach the material. And I know that some curriculums like Saxon has it and so forth, but the neat thing about this is it's a teacher, and they don't just teach the lesson that's taught in the book, they teach the concept that's being taught in the book. For example, if you do Saxon, the Saxon curriculum literally just reads the lesson out of the book and does that lesson on the computer whiteboard or whatever that it has, and so it's just teaching you the exact lesson that you can get from out of the book. As where Master Books, it looks like what they're offering is like a teacher that's teaching you the concept without just reading right out of the book or teaching you exactly as it comes out of the book. They want you to better understand the concept that they're trying to teach you within the book. So it looks really neat, and I actually looked into using their science course, and I'll tell you about that at the end of the video. And I bought it, and we are probably going to use it for second semester. If you're interested, that'll be at the end of the video. So for my freshman, she's using Master Books for math. She will be using Compass Classroom for history. She's using the Classical Conversations for science. For English, she will also be using The Good and the Beautiful, but she's using the High School 1 pack of books, and I'm very excited for her to start on this. She's going to like this. This will be something she really likes. She is my workhorse. She's the child that she doesn't set a time for herself. She needs lessons that are broken up into bite-sized pieces. If you give her a book and say, okay, go for it, she'll just go, and she'll just keep reading, and she's like I am. She's not good at giving herself permission to just stop. And so these bite-sized pieces are great for her. They're little booklets. 10 books are included in each pack. And so this is going to be great for her. I'm very excited. And then lastly for her, she is going to be doing Latin, and she did Visual Latin. It's also through Compass Classroom. And she did Visual Latin 1 2 years ago and took a break from it to learn Italian, and then because we were actually going to go to Rome, and thank you, Rona, but anyways, she didn't get to use her Italian, and so I'm encouraging her to go back. Well, I told her she had to go back to Latin, and so she's going to learn Latin 2, and when the time comes that she will have the need to use her Italian, or at least it's on the horizon, then she can go back to picking up Italian again. But Latin is the root to Italian and all Romantic languages. So by learning Latin, I told her, you are learning Italian, you're just learning it in a different way. And she knows that to be true, because after doing Latin 1, she did find it a lot easier to pick up Italian because she did recognize a lot of words. So she's going to be doing Compass Classroom's Latin 2 series, and they're on DVD. I do not bring the DVDs on the boat. I actually save them to flash drive, and I put the flash drive in my computer so that she can watch them directly from the flash drive. Again, it's just for space purposes. Our laptop doesn't even have a DVD drive in it, so I'd have to bring my laptop and bring a DVD drive, and that's just a pain in the butt. So I can just plug in the flash drive and she just watches it right there, and it makes it easy. There are workbooks that go with this, and they are worksheets that go with it, and again, they're broken down into bite-sized pieces. The gentleman that teaches this is very funny. I am a big fan of learning with laughter, and he is as well. And so he's very funny, he's a very good teacher, and has a great sense of humor, which I feel like makes those lessons stick even more. So that's it for my freshman. Next up will be my 7th grader, and he is our only boy, and he will be doing anatomy with everybody else. For math, he will be using Life of Fred, and he is currently working on the fractions book, which I couldn't find, but they will move on, or he will move on to decimals and percents after that. Then pre-algebra with biology. Then there's a pre-algebra with pre-algebra 2, like it's the second part to this book, and it's pre-algebra with economics. And so he'll just keep working his way through those books. And my youngest also does this, and him and her are right on track with each other, which is great because if they have questions, they can ask each other, and the stories in here are funny, and they like to, it kind of gives them some inside jokes together of the story that they're reading. Now, if you've seen my previous video of mistakes I made, or you listened to what I was talking about my junior, I made the mistake of pushing her through and into math curriculums that I felt like these are what people were doing, and therefore they're what I should be doing. And so I pushed her through them and just felt like, she just needs to just buckle down and get it done. And I really killed her love for math, and that was totally on me. And I started off using Life of Fred and just was reading it with her and thought, this is too easy. This isn't math. This is too easy. This is too fun to be math. And if you've seen my video that talks about the curriculum that we used last year, I'll put it right here. It talks about the curriculum we used last year. I talk about how I started my younger two on these books because they were ahead in math. And now I see that they have learned so much more being on these books not because they were ahead, but because they're fun and they are enjoying math. And I wish, looking back, I had left my high schooler, who will be a junior this year, I wish I had left her, allowing her to do these books. I wish I didn't look at them and basically snub my nose at them because I thought that they were too fun to be educational, because they weren't. I should have left her on them. And I will definitely not be repeating that mistake. If my younger two enjoy using these books, I am going to let them continue to use these books. And they are enjoying using them. They are having fun. They're definitely learning mathematical concepts. They're learning how to use them in the real world. And that's what we want, right? Like, what's the point of knowing 2 + 2 if you don't actually know how to use 2 + 2? So, Life of Fred for the win. So he's going to be using Life of Fred for math. And for English, we're going to be doing a little bit of a hybrid. And if this was my first rodeo homeschooling, I don't think I would be confident enough to kind of mash together my own curriculum pieces, but it's not my first rodeo. But if any of these parts look good to you, then you could always just do a part or piece of the curriculum. You don't have to try and replicate exactly what I'm doing. But for English, I am doing IEW for their writing portion, and IEW stands for the Institute of Excellence of Writing, and their writing program is excellent. It teaches children how to write. I am not a big fan of just teaching children to write through creative writing, because I don't believe that that teaches them how to write well, because they're not seeing it modeled well for them. And so this uses sources to teaches them, or models for them, what good writing looks like, and then helps them to create their own good writing off of those items. So it's a very easy curriculum to teach. It does take a little of work on your part as a parent, because there are videos to watch that introduce each unit to basically train you on how to teach it. But once you've learned it, it's very valuable to know. And it's even helped me as an adult when I have to write something, either a persuasive talk, or if I have to compose a good email, or even talks for church. It's really helped me in being able to present information. So I highly suggest this. It's called the Institute for Excellence of Writing. Mine has been, they come spiral bound. Mine has been unspiral bound just because I had used it for different things, and I now have it in a binder clip. But we're using the ancient history because that is the history that we're going to be using this year, is we're learning ancient history. So it just makes sense to tie in our English with that. But they have different topics that you can use to write off of. So this is ancient history. They have medieval history or Middle Ages. They have US history. They have rockets and robots, fun and fascinating things, C.S. Lewis and the Chronicles of Narnia. So lots of really, really fun items that you can choose from that give them things like original source text to read from. And so it helps them to learn and write at the same time. So that's a double win. So IEW for the writing portion of their English. Then we're going to use Fix-It Grammar. This is also through the Institute for Excellence of Writing. And we're going to use Fix-It Grammar for their grammar portion of writing. And this basically gives them a, how do I describe it? It gives them a sentence to work on each week. And each week they just do, they do one sentence a day. They do one sentence a day, but they're broken up into weeks. And so you do one sentence each day and correct the grammar, and you label the sentence or the parts of the sentence, and you correct any grammar that is done, like correcting already, adding commas and deleting things. It shows them how to properly edit. And this is the third level of it. So there's 6 different levels. So if you're looking at it going, that looks really advanced for my child, check out level 1 or 2, and that might work better for them. And that was also halfway through the curriculum that I flipped. So, you know, it eases into it. It doesn't start with the hard thing. So it introduces, hey, to this week we're going to look at capital, make sure all of our sentences are capitalized, and we're going to label subjects. And then that's what you focus on for the week. And okay, this week we're going to, and it kind of eases its way into adding on things to look at and things to edit each week that they're working on it. So IEW writing, IEW grammar, and the last thing is I'm going to use the classical conversations analogies for all of us. And I have not personally used this curriculum. I have a friend who, she is a director for Challenge, and she really liked this curriculum for her son. And she said it's very easy to teach. It was really easy to work through, and it was very helpful for developing his writing. And so I'm excited to use it. You can teach the lesson one day a week, and then the rest of the week they work on the lesson that's been given. So it's broken up into days. So you teach it, you would teach one section or one item. So this is similes, and then it is broken down. This is part of the lesson, and then it's broken down into days. So here's day 1 at home, day 2 at home, and then continue on, so on and so forth. So it gives them, again, bite-sized pieces that they can utilize for the lesson, and it's not too much of my time to teach. Not that I don't want to give my children time to teach, but when there's 4 of them, that spreads me pretty thin. Plus you toss in, laundry and doctor's appointments and activities, and there's only 1 of me. I know you get it. So That's what it is. So this is what we're doing for English. And I figure I will spend 1 day a week teaching them English, teaching the lesson, and that will be their English for the day. And then following 4 days will be they just work independently on their English as much as they possibly can unless they need help. So that is the plan at this point. So that is what we're doing for English is IEW. And for history, don't be intimidated. This looks really scary, I know, but we're using Sunlight. I am not a big fan of this huge binder. I feel like it's extremely intimidating. And I will be honest, that's one thing that kept me away from Sunlight as long as I have is the big intimidating binder that has lots and lots of information in it, but we'll see how it goes. What pulled me to Sunlight for history was the way they pull in lots and lots of books to teach history. If you've ever been exposed or read or listened to Sarah Mackenzie from the Read Aloud Revival, she really talks about the best way to teach your children is to read to them. That nothing will teach them more than a great story that really resonates and sticks with them. And that's really what pushed me over the edge for turning to Sunlight was her book, because I've always looked at doing Sunlight but felt intimidated by it, and I thought, I can do this. Even if it means that I buy audiobooks for some of the books, I can do this. And so we are going to be doing the year 1 history. Now, this looks different than what you will see currently on their website because I bought this off of another homeschooler and it is a used curriculum. It was not complete. I had to buy some of the books, but I'm okay with that because, well, 1, I'm a big believer in recycling. That's the tree hugger in me. And 2, because it saves me a ton of money to buy it off of somebody else, and it helps that homeschooler to turn around and buy new curriculum for her kiddos. So that's a huge win. So we're going to be using Sunlight for history. And just like with my girls, and just like with their English, we're learning ancient history. And we are doing the world history, which does not solely focus on ancient history, but it does cover ancient history and then works its way forward. So it's a little more than I wanted, but I'm looking ahead to next year, and I really like their Eastern Hemisphere history pack. And I think if things work out well with this one, this curriculum this year, then I would like to use that curriculum or that portion of the Sunlight curriculum for next year. So that was kind of my line of thinking with not doing ancient history and then medieval to modern day. Instead of breaking it up, I decided to do just world history altogether so that we could do that curriculum next year. So last thing is my son who's going into 7th grade, he's also working on Spanish, and he has already been working on Spanish and will continue to work on Spanish again because we're going to Mexico. But he as well is going to be doing Latin 1. So it's the same Compass Classroom Latin that I just had and misplaced. Hold please. Here we go. So it's the Compass Classroom Latin 1, and this says Latin 2 because that's what my that's what my freshman is going to be using. Oh my gosh, I can't believe she's going to be a freshman. She's using the Latin 2, but my son and my 5th grader are going to be using the Latin 1 program. And as I said with my freshman, if you watch that, I already said that I don't keep the DVDs. I actually put it on a flash drive, and that way I can just plug that flash drive into my computer and we can watch the information or the lessons wherever we are. So if we're on the boat, if we're in the car, if we are on a road trip, it really allows me to access the information anywhere. If I only had the DVD, or if I was only able to access it digitally, that wouldn't work for us because we do not have a DVD player in our computer. I have to borrow an external one, and we don't have internet to the capability of streaming while we're sailing or always while we're on road trips. So I have to think ahead to what is going to work for our situation in the coming year, and I need something that they can utilize in that way. And Compass Classroom allows me that opportunity. So that's another reason why I really like their programs, why we're using it for history for my older girls, and then the Latin for my freshmen, my 7th grader, and my 5th grader. So if you're wondering what I'm going to be doing for my 5th grader, it is basically everything we're doing for my 7th grader. She is doing exactly the same thing for him. So it is sunlight for history, it is the IEW for writing, analogies for English, and fix-it grammar for grammar portion of English. She's doing Life of Fred for math, and she's doing the anatomy for science. And that's pretty much it. So if you would like any further explanation, if I missed anything or I didn't go in depth enough about anything, let me know. I answer every single question that pops up on any video. So comment below, let me know. If it was helpful, I'd like to know that too. But if you have a question, make sure you let me know. All right, as promised, one last thing. I did purchase the Master Books Engineering in Nature course, and I purchased the course material, and then I also purchased the online video access to the teacher courses. So they're not courses for me, they're a teacher that teaches to the kiddos, and so it's basically a teacher that teaches the lessons. And I purchased this before we had our sailing trip planned, but it's not going to work out for us to do while we're sailing because, like I just said, we don't have streaming accessibility, which I would need to access those videos. And there's multiple books that are used for lessons, and it kind of jumps around for the books. So it won't really work for us because it just requires too much material for us to bring with us. But depending on how things are going, we may do it second semester, or we may just save it and use it next year for science. So I'm excited to use it though in the future. It is the Engineering in Nature, and this is just one of the books that comes in the course. So, all right, well, I hope I answered your questions. I hope I gave you lots of ideas. If I left you with anything, you know where to find me, and I will see you very soon.